The biblical myth of Jewish slaves building the pyramids. Introduction. The notion that Jewish slaves built the pyramids of Egypt is a widely held belief, often reinforced by religious texts, historical misconceptions, and popular culture. However, modern archaeology and historical research contradict this claim, providing a more accurate picture of who actually constructed these monumental structures. This report examines the origins of this myth, its propagation, and the established historical evidence regarding pyramid construction. Origins of the myth. The idea that Jewish slaves were responsible for building the pyramids largely stems from the biblical narrative of the Book of Exodus. According to this text, the Hebrews were enslaved in Egypt and later freed by Moses, leading to the famous story of the Exodus. However, the Bible does not specifically state that these enslaved Hebrews built the pyramids. Instead, it describes their forced labor in making bricks and working on cities, such as Pithom and Ramses. Exodus 1:11. The myth gained further traction due to misinterpretations of biblical texts, associating Hebrew enslavement with large construction projects. Greek and Roman historians. Writers like Herodotus, 5th century BCE, suggested the pyramids were built using slave labor. Jewish Hollywood and popular culture. Films such as The Ten Commandments, 1956, and other media have depicted Jews as pyramid builders. Historical and archaeological evidence. Contrary to the myth, modern Egyptology presents a different narrative. The pyramids precede the Hebrew enslavement narrative. The Great Pyramid of Giza was constructed around 2600 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. The earliest possible timeline for Hebrew enslavement in Egypt is between the 16th and 13th centuries BCE, meaning the pyramids were already over 1,000 years old at that point. The builders were paid laborers, not slaves. Excavations at Giza have revealed workers' villages with living quarters, food storage, and burial sites. These findings suggest that pyramid builders were skilled laborers, not mistreated slaves. Workers were well fed and honored, with some being buried near the pyramids themselves, a privilege unlikely for slaves. Egyptian records do not mention Jewish slavery in pyramid construction. Ancient Egyptian texts, including inscriptions, labor lists, and administrative records, do not indicate the use of Jewish slaves in pyramid building. Egyptian society had a workforce system where laborers were often seasonal farmers conscripted for estate projects during the Nile flood season. The role of the myth in modern discourse. Despite historical evidence, the myth remains prevalent due to religious tradition and cultural reinforcement. It has also been politically leveraged in various contexts, particularly concerning Jewish identity and historical narratives. However, historians and archaeologists continue to challenge this misconception, advocating for a fact-based understanding of ancient history. Who is covering up the truth? When people ask who is responsible for covering up the true history of the pyramids, perhaps the answer is staring them in the face. The persistence of this myth benefits those who seek to control historical narratives, whether for religious, political, or ideological reasons. By shaping public perception, certain groups can influence how history is remembered and used to serve contemporary agendas. This raises important questions about who controls historical knowledge and why certain myths endure despite clear evidence to the contrary. Conclusion. The claim that Jewish slaves built the pyramids is a historical inaccuracy rooted in misinterpretation, religious tradition, and later cultural depictions. Archaeological evidence confirms that the pyramids were built by paid laborers and skilled craftsmen rather than enslaved Hebrews. While the story of Jewish enslavement in Egypt remains an important religious narrative, it should not be conflated with the construction of the pyramids. Understanding history through verified evidence allows for a more accurate appreciation of ancient civilizations and their achievements.